Welcome to Men's Health Month. Some tips on detoxifying for the guys out there. John and I are joining you for June's version of our Q&A. Today's a little bit more about info than Q&A, and it is Men's Health Month. And John's a man, so not only does he have a little bit of insight with I think you're closer to 2 decades in business now than one. He happens to be a guy himself and is a pretty healthy looking guy. So today we wanted to just offer a few tips about how our guys can best improve, whether it's your health you're dealing with. John's going to get into some detail on how you can incorporate his HyperBath into your lifestyle. And a lot of the things we're talking about today are not necessarily hubby or wife specific. They're general benefits for everybody, but because our biologies are different and a lot of times our activities and even our nutrition varies, there are some things that John wants to give some insight on, depending on what's motivating you to join us today. So happy Wednesday, John.
Yes, thanks, Deb, and glad to be here tonight. So, interested in giving us guys a few tips on health. We sometimes lag behind and don't look after ourselves like we should, and it's not just us guys; it's everybody. And Men's Health Month and Father's Day coming up in a few days, and so let's get it. I've kind of there's so many things when you say things like improving your health, it defines differently to every person. So I've kind of grouped into like 3 basic question categories. We talk lots about the ladies and chronic issues, but specific to the guys, I kind of want to talk about 3 things. And we're going to get into a little bit of depth on chronic issues, whether you're dealing with something now. We're going to talk a little bit about recovery capacity, how you can utilize the HyperBath for that, and of course the overall general health and maintenance piece. So let's first talk about chronic issues. A lot of times we don't start looking for solutions until we're in a crisis. And unfortunately, if you're not there's so many sayings out there. If you're not investing time in your health now, you certainly be forced to later on. So what kind of chronic issues, if you were to bring a few highlights to mind, have customers of yours had success with over the years? Well, I mean, it's not just guys. It's over the years. It's the best that we know of for managing pain or swelling or improving our sleep, our energy levels, chronic fatigue and everything in the overall health. Like when we have chronic issues, it's a real problem with everybody. It's very stressful. When you don't feel good, you don't get sleep, and you got pain all the time. It's really hard. It's harmful to try to keep a positive attitude when you have poor health.
Well, a lot of us talk, everything. It doesn't matter what channel you watch or what radio station you listen to. Everyone's got this focus on physical and mental health. And I think sometimes we get off tangent in focusing on one and the other without recognizing, both will kind of balance each other off because there's a harmony between them. So whether you're doing it because of a physical chronic health issue or a mental health chronic issue, maybe it's mental stress causes physical oxidative stress on the body. There really is a relationship between the two. So stop beating yourself up. You may not have a chronic issue now, or maybe it's not so severe that you really haven't thought to pay attention to it, but there's really only one path when it comes to chronic issues. If you're not improving or changing what you're doing to your body, or you're exposing it to or not exposing it to, those conditions tend to increase. And I think the first one you said, John, managing pain, is probably of something everyone can relate to, whether it's due to arthritis, whether it's due to injury. If you're dealing with pain, it's hard to deal with life and work and many other things. So I would say again, unfortunately, many of us don't start looking for solutions like the HyperBath until you're in a chronic situation. So it kind of is the number one, kind of tip if you are dealing with chronic issues, especially, unfortunately, a lot of people, in my experience of about 10, 12 years with John's product, it's kind of at the end of your journey. You've tried the pills, you've tried the surgery, you've tried the, and really it's a non-invasive time commitment, and it kind of leads to our next tip. So number one tip being using it for chronic issues and really just help alleviate those so that long term they're either not progressing or hopefully alleviating altogether. But recovery, we're always told when we get that knee replacement, or if you whack your knee or your elbow, you got to give it time to recover. But what's so cool and I guess so relevant about John's product is, regardless of the recovery situation, you're probably sitting anyways. So John, from a recovery, post-surgery injuries, what kind of things can the machine help you assist with? What's your body going through when it's had trauma or surgery? What do we need to deal with?
Well, anytime there's pain or swelling or after surgery, there's always the big risk of the inflammation. And that's 100%. Why the HyperBath is so powerful, because it works at a deep cellular level. Apparently, we have 37 trillion cells in our body. Can you imagine?
It's crazy.
And every one of those cells has a job to do. So if we can affect every 37 trillion cells in our body, meaning we're putting more oxygen into every cell and tissue in our bodies. So, and no disease or illness can live in acidic or in alkaline and in oxygen, but they thrive in anything toxic and acidic. So that's why it's so powerful. And it's not just the 30 minutes that you're in the bath. It's where it's most important is the next 48 hours after, where it's continually doing that. So part of the recovery is important that we look after ourselves. We keep hydrated. We do the foot bath to get the toxins out of there, get the flow going, getting that deep internal cellular detox, which is so important.
That's a really valid perspective. I talk all day about, therapists do, when you're especially when you're going through surgery or a physical injury, we kind of think of the body outside out. But when you think about it, what you've kind of just identified from a recovery perspective, if we can reoxygenate the cells, if we can make their processes improve in function in that 48-hour period after, it's going to expedite recovery. We talk about doing the physical therapy and those types of exercises, but in complement with something like this, you got to do the physical work, but your cells are the ones doing the action within your body. So if you can give them a boost at that cellular level, it's going to expedite recovery, and in a way that, perhaps you're in a situation where you're not able to exercise, or you're very limited, you're dealing with a lot of pain. This is a very passive, very relaxing way to ramp that up, if you want to think about it that way too. So let's get to our last tip. So the first tip being, it's great for chronic issues. The second being recovery and kind of how it complements and helps you heal from those chronic issues and symptoms. The last part is, really for people like John that, are, later in life, but still looking like they're probably doing 18 holes a day, is the maintenance piece. An ounce of prevention, if we've ever heard. What does a maintenance use look like? How many times a week? Is this something I could do after a workout? What does that look like?
Yeah, and that's a good question, Deb. That's one thing that you mentioned before.
Okay.
Oftentimes we don't do anything until there's a crisis, and then we just grapple at anything that that we can do if we're going through some serious health struggles. And that's what we're all about, is making you aware of of doing maintenance, doing the self-care that's so important. And with the HyperBath, if you do it 2 times a week is really good. Of course, once a month is better than doing it not at all. But what we found, and when we got into it, a lot of you know my story, where Bev was really sick and driving 2 hours 3 times a week to get the detox, and getting great results, but had nothing to show for it at the end. Once you have your own HyperBath, your cost per treatment is between $1.50 and $3 for the replacement arrays, the liner, the cleaner, and that. But this is something you can do in the comfort of your own home. The whole family can do it. And if you have to go out and drive a couple hours and pay $65 for a 30-minute treatment, you're probably not going to do it near as often as you would if you had your own machine. So that's the real benefit of the maintenance of having that extra boost of energy into every cell and tissue of your body, and continually flushing. So if you do it every second day or every third day, that's where it's very, very powerful for everyone to do, because before there's a crisis, before you're really being aware of your self-care, and you deserve that.
Yeah. Well, and I think most people logically realize, we're not living in the world we did 30 years ago. You can be doing so much diligence on your nutrition and your rest and your exercise, but maybe you're living next to a nuclear plant, or there's so many things that we don't necessarily see and feel, and it takes years. You talked earlier about that alkaline versus acidic environment, and it doesn't always present itself until there's a problem. And if your body's talking to you now, it's taken a long time to get to that point. So the maintenance, not only doing it regularly, certainly, you might want to ramp things up and do what might be called a cleanse, if you are dealing with something in particular. But to John's point, it's consistently forming good habits over the long haul. It's kind of the opposite effect of how the chronic things develop, is slowly over time. So if you're slowly investing, an hour to an hour and a half a week, and even if you're only doing it once a week, I say with a lot of my guys, it gets you sitting down for a half an hour and shut your mind. It's great to put something over the eyes. There's a lot of sensory processing that happens, through the eyes. That's our main, vision. So I like to get some tunes going and close my eyes, or maybe get into something light on television and just shut all things down. And as John mentioned earlier, there's a lot of little miracles going on at the cellular level that this can assist with, but it's not something cumbersome and heavy and difficult to set up. So in a home environment, you really only need about 2 feet around where your feet would hit the floor, and you've got room to administer your own treatments. So, and it's portable as well. I do a lot of, I'm more of a healer, and so I just want to say, without getting too off tangent, for a lot of you that are in service businesses, the type of place where John and Bev back in the day went to, there's never the perfect way to use this product, but it's always best in complement and enhancing your other self-care routine. And for a lot of you out there that prefer going to a business, perhaps there's other treatments that you offer. It's the perfect enhancement. But I sometimes get so, a couple times back when I was first learning, I was driving to people's houses 3-4 times a week. And I finally had a lady say to me, well, can I buy one of my own? And I didn't even think about it, because I'm so used to being the mother and doing the treatment and having that personal connection. But, I didn't ever think for a minute that she wanted to do it on her own. I just, so you're very capable if and these are, especially if you find it's relieving things like sometimes chronic issues are there for life, but if it's managing pain, the swelling, improving the sleep, you've spent thousands on alternatives that have worked to a point. Don't let this be the last thing you try. That it is Father's Day. So does Papa John have anything cooking for the dads and the granddads and those types of folks out there?
We sure do, and we're going to put an offer out there, and
Okay.
it's on the personal unit, which we only have one unit. The only difference, the personal unit is a base unit, and we have a coupon code for $800 off over this next holiday for the special dads, and you moms or spouses can give it as a gift too. So when you go into our order, just go in and when it asks for the coupon code, just put DAD 800 and it'll give you a $800 discount off. Plus we're offering 2 more extra arrays. That's the part that goes in the water that creates the whole ionization. So you're going to get to do 40 more sessions, 80 sessions in total before you need to reorder any part or any of the products after.
Okay.
So it's a really, really special deal. And again, we've partnered with a firm. So when you go into our shopping cart, just click on the firm, and there's no obligation. You can go in and they will tell you what your payment program. You can get up to 6-month 0 interest payments on it, and it doesn't affect your credit score. There's no payments for 30 days, and with this big special, you can get payments under $100. I think they're around $99. That's less than 2 treatments a month. So it's really I really want everybody to be able to take advantage of this great self-care for you, for not only through Father's Day but forever.
Yeah. If you do have any questions, I always like to just recommend, you're all unique, you're all dealing with certain situations, and you all have different questions. So never hesitate to reach out to John. In the recording later, when we get this posted up, I'll be sure to put down John's contact details, and for any businesses or someone that just may, have bigger questions or want to have more in-depth of a chat with John personally, he has a calendar link that I would like to introduce to all of you. So I'll drop that in there as well if you wanted to just book some time. I know that we're all busy, and sometimes you think it's a 2-minute question, but John is rich with knowledge and experience with this product and health in general. So I suggest if you do have some serious questions and you've been considering this, the time is now, not only with the discount, but I'll put those links in so you can get into a deeper conversation with him as well. So that's awesome, John. Thank you for sharing again your wisdom and your insight. And I always learn something new about this when I'm listening to you, and we've done many of these. So thank you for that.
Oh, you're welcome, and thanks everybody for coming on here. And like Deb said, if you have questions or if you want to book a call, I'm here to support. We just want to make sure that we look after ourselves, and not just dads, it's everybody. The self-care is so important, and oftentimes, like I said, we don't do something until there's a crisis, and then we grasp at anything. So
I always say we're always looking through the rear view mirror versus the windshield, right?
yeah
You're a mechanic, so that one resonates. Thanks everybody, we'll see you again next month.
Okay, bye everybody.
Great.
Thanks.
Rest of your evening. Thanks, John.
Bye.